Okay, I think we're live. Again. Kate, how do you feel being on the screen?
Same.
Which means?
It's not my favorite place to be.
Okay, I want to see if we can hear you. So go ahead and say something. Kate, how do you feel being on?
Place to be. It's not.
Okay, I want to see if we can hear you. No, it's good. Okay, so. Kate, how do you feel being on? That's good. Man, I had all these things I wanted to talk about and like this. I think what was going on was I had the Phantom Power on, and they offer StreamYard offers a couple of these. I don't even know what you call them, but they're like settings. Oh boy, the battery's about to die on the computer. Hang on a second, folks.
You just keep talking. I got it.
Okay, well, say something. Oh, you're gonna do it. Okay. It's right there. You gotta move the little dog, and it plugs the dog right where the dog's at. This thing is. The problem is a big part of the problem is that I haven't done it in a while, and we're coming on and going off, and I've got this little studio thing set up. It goes like this, Kate.
Oh, I see.
So I've got this thing set up to be a permanent fixture, and my other computer is in Alabama. I haven't gone up there and got it. Need to do that so that it's always the same, because I have to use the other one, the laptop, for stuff, and now I'm using the laptop for this, and it just gets complicated. That little dog up there that Kate moved, it's got one of those wobbly heads. I looked at it, it's just like, yep, it's complicated. So we wanted to get together today and talk a bit about certain things. Like, we went to the music festivals last weekend.
Yep, in Pensacola.
And how did you feel about that? Did you like it or what?
It was fun.
Hello, Amanda Dixon. How are you doing? It was fun. It was. I hadn't played music in a long time. I really threw myself into it, except in the house.
Yeah, you hadn't played in front of anybody.
Right, and like sometimes I go over there and I'll sit in with like T-Bone, and then we're playing cover songs or whatever, and it's like.
That's been a while.
That has, and it's hard sometimes for me to just go for it, like to be Matt. It's like I'm with somebody else. I'm in their place. I feel like that. This is their livelihood, and like with T-Man, I really appreciate him letting me come do that. And it feels like the Florida Band is about money and entertainment, and you're kind of caring for people in a place where they've come to get away, to relax, which is good. And it's hard sometimes for me to just go all out and just be like, like I never feel like I'm Mr. Rock and Roll, doing the guitar or anything like that. But I feel like sometimes you have to tone down exactly what I want to say, like how I feel about things. And as much as I love that old country music, it's really difficult to play that way. You know what I mean? It's just
like to play the way you feel.
Yeah, just to let it all go, like I did last night.
Well, you're out of practice.
Yeah, and well, I think last night was not out of practice. I think last night was being back in.
Yeah, but you had already warmed up. You had a show Friday night and then right before the last night.
Yeah. And each one of those shows were awesome too. Mm-hmm. Like I guess I'm just really thankful to the folks that volunteered for the Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival, for Renata. Some of that stuff, man, it's hard to do. It's hard to get it all together. I don't know any of y'all have been around, those of us who are musicians, but you always got like, we're just emotional people, and so it's easy to become emotional, like, why am I playing here? But did they overlook me? Why can't I be with this guy? Like last night's thing, at first, I got to play this show, and David Gibson was in it. And it's like, I don't really know him, but his songs were incredible. And that other guy too, the lead guy, Letters from Home. But we've listened to that, like, you and I know every word. And we're sitting there, we looked around the audience and said, it's people crying. Like it brings, like some of the other veterans on here, like it brings something back, like we really do. And like sometimes just being in the same room with them guys is cool, and sometimes I think, well, why am I doing a show personally? And other musicians feel this way too. And they probably feel that way about somebody else. Like, why did I get this lyrical so like with David Gibson, he wrote that song, Going to My Mind as a Jukebox. And Alabama took it to another level. And I'm sure it sounds like it could have been easy for him to go by and be like, man, I wrote that song. So
where groups pick up your song and you get credit for it, but not really, because there's less. I don't know how many people listen to radio anymore, but I used to listen to it a lot, and I always thought that Alabama wrote that song.
Did you really?
Yeah, a little after. I didn't know anything like that. So I think most people don't know that a lot of big groups, especially Alan Jackson makes a lot of sense, but I don't know, maybe he doesn't. So it's actually good to look at who wrote the song, not just who sings it. Just because they're singing it doesn't mean they wrote it.
Right. You really
not so much anymore. I'm finding older country, like illustration, Alan Jackson, and
So David Gibson showed me yesterday written this song. What was Keith's song?
Now,
on this consultant, the guy that came out of, he worked for and sold it. It was the writer for Gambler, Keith song. It's not always on. I woke up, I knew this one. I woke up, my brain fresh. He told us it was awesome. That's nice. That thing went out to him twice.
Ships that don't come
Oh, yeah.
And I had no clue until last night.
And I think he said I'll start
Not a lot. Just several people.
What do you think? No one says
I don't know. You're just so excited to see him. Now you can do it. That was you. I mean, because you see that all of us, and then I had a chance to say something, and I just said, it's good to meet you. Because, I mean, how many listeners? I can't believe that. I mean,
you're so close.
well, I had a minute back, because I couldn't even knock you out.
It's like, top down, it just looks cool. And it's cool cowboy suits. Sober. I'm not really sure, but she's sober now. That's a good thing. Don't you quit. Joe Cancy sings, don't you quit.
That's a great song.
It is getting sober. It is about not quitting a lot of times. It's like as soon as this thing heals, so I can start working out again, and I sliced him out. He was on this track of losing weight. Don't you quit, don't you quit, don't you quit, don't you quit, don't you quit. It's a great song. You can apply that to your life somehow. Can you come a little, is it too low for you? Or can you come a little closer?
No, come a little closer.
Okay. I'm trying to actually do that. I just, sometimes I think that you and I have been extremely blessed, like beyond our wildest dreams. All the people we talked to this week.
A lot of people. A lot of cool people.
And the stories, like...
Not just famous people, but just people in general.
Right. Well, and like the weekend starts out, two weird things happen. They're not weird for me. They're weird in the actuality of normal. Like sometimes people don't see this kind of thing, so it's not weird. Let me say two things happen, okay? Cut the weird out. First of all, a guy calls me up and he's like, hey, I don't like to use names because it might be inappropriate in this podcast. He's like, hey, my girl's dying, cancer, and they're saying, I'm not going to make it. Will you pray? Sure, we pray right there. Hang up. Think about it. And when I call him back, I say, hey, I got a prayer team. There's a bunch of people in that church who pray with me about when things go down. And y'all know, Vet Church is cave 9. Just doing whatever we can do. And so I called the guy back. I was like, hey, do you mind if I share your name and this story with just the team of people that pray? And he said, share with everybody. So I do. And it takes a while. There's not as many people, it's not as many people as you might think. It's a very small group because they're the people that pray for me. And they do. They pray for, like, when I'm going through things or somebody comes up to me, they're the people I call. And some of them have been overwhelmed in life. I'm like, don't tell everybody I do that for you. Which...
makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean...
You can only do so much.
So, and this guy tells me, man, she's going to die. Like, the doctor, she's in the hospital right now, and the doctors have said, this is it. We get to the festival. No. Next day, a near and dear brother who's done some stuff with me, he served this nation in ways that I can't even imagine. Him and his family have taken, they've fed hundreds of people. Hundreds. They've gone above and beyond. Not only have they fed people, but they've helped people out in ways that no one will ever know. Like, as you get close to folks like that, you dig around and you're like, you did that? Well, yeah. Don't say anything. Right?
Yep.
And they're real sweet. And he goes into the hospital for a little exam thing, and they wound up taking out a big portion of a lung, a very vital organ, breath. And it floors me. Like, there's two things back to back. One day, my buddy and his girl, and I know her pretty well too. Not pretty well, but we know each other. Sweetest person. Now, how they say it's the sweetest, not the sweetest. Very kind.
One of the sweetest people.
Yeah, very gracious lady. Many times I've thought of her that way. And here she's going to die. My buddy goes in the hospital for this routine little exam thing and found a little spot or whatever. So next thing you know, they're taking out 3/4 of his lung and telling him he's got cancer. And it's right before I'm supposed to go back to this festival. I haven't really played music all out like Matt Williams. Here I am. I did a thing with a band in January. That was probably the last time. And now that the band's kind of shifted and people have moved, the Bienville Bus Girls will probably take on a new look, and we might do something again. And it's just been like, but even if we don't, I don't know. But it's not just me. Like when it's just me, it's like just me. It's like all creativity. Like when I'm working with that band, each one of those guys brings their stuff to the table. We might be playing the song that I wrote, but when I'm playing with them, I'm like, do whatever. Like, here's the basics. Let's just, they're all, I feel like, what would you say about them?
As far as what?
I guess they're just really technical musicians.
They've all got their way of doing things, but yeah, they, 3 of them, especially 2 of them are professionally trained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe all 3 of them.
But they all, I mean, as far as your songs go, they all have their own take on them, and they enjoy every single one of them.
And so then when I'm by myself, I'm just standing there just going. And when people are watching you, it's, you're watching me, so you see you're a lot of times filming or watching what's going on with the crowd. And I don't see it, but what I see when I'm standing there is like, I got to keep this thing going. No dead air, or at least unless it's, not too uncomfortable. Unless I want people to. How would you describe it? When you see that?
When I see you performing by yourself?
Yeah, the difference.
Well, you can just do whatever you want. You don't have to wait on people. You don't have to be in time with people. You don't have any inhibitions, I guess, unless you want them. But like last night, everybody took their turns, and when they were going, it was just them. That's going to keep on happening.
What is that?
It's a timer.
timer for what?
To turn the water off.
It's trying to save a buck.
No, because I'll forget about it in the water all day long.
Well, you are the one in our relationship that does try to save a buck, so I'm not too far off there, am I?
No.
Well, it's just going to be, let's just sit here and talk for a minute.
It's going to be.
How often will it be?
Like every 30 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you better go kick that. Do you want me to try? Or do you want to like keep the folks entertained for a minute? Hey, let's do this. So I'm gonna get Kate to tell a story, and I'll run through the timer.
Do you know how to turn it off?
Yeah. Some on the stove. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can operate that stuff.
Maybe it's once a minute.
So I want like something happens when you go out with me and we start talking to veterans, and it's like all of a sudden we're running into all these mothers, and we're running into wives, mothers, daughters, and they're super interested because we see a lot of divorce, we see a lot of just brokenness. Can you tell a little bit about what you're seeing, like when people come up and talk to you without using any names? And just think about some of the stories. Like all these ladies come up and they start telling you stories. And I know you're not a storyteller, but
it's been a long time since we've done that.
Well, no, just this weekend I can think of us sitting at a table. I think with me, we're sitting at a table, and this lady starts telling you about taking care of her children and her children's children while her child is deployed, and just the nuts of like you sitting there listening to it, not being a chaplain, just being my wife. Like, what's it like? Like, because people do they assume that like I share things with you and all that. So you tell about that on the road. Like, no dead air, Kate.
I'm good with dead air. I'll just wait till you get back.
No, look at the camera and talk.
Well, I don't really know what to say about that, Matthew. I won't put a timer on again, that's for sure. I don't know. It was interesting especially when we were on the road, and Matt, he would still talk to ladies, but they would always make sure that they go to a place where that was public, and to keep each other safe and not have anybody question what's going on. And it kind of changed when I was there with Matt, because he felt safer and that he wasn't going to compromise somebody, and I don't know, I guess they felt safer too. But I don't know. I'm a pastor's kid. My dad is a really, really good pastor, so I don't know if I kind of got whatever he got that people want to talk to me. And I understand some of what, I'm an Army spouse, so I knew what it was like to live life with you absent. We always talked on whatever that thing was.
Skype.
But I remember thinking back about Skype. Remember, I used to always tell you that you were blobby because you would be watching each other on the screen, and it would, be all like that, and you'd just be like a blob for a minute, and I'd have to wait. But anyway, I have experience with having my spouse or loved one gone, and so they know that I at least understand a little bit about what they've been through. We don't have kids, and we've never had to take, like, my brother was in the Army for a while. We never had to take care of his kids, but we certainly would have. But I think it's really cool and an honor to hear people's stories, whether they're in the military or not. Like that lady you were talking about, she was there for her daughter when her daughter had to go, and she ended up being extended and extended and extended. So she said even when her daughter came back, she came back to this house full of grown people, and she was like, "Mom, where are my kids?" She said, "They're right here."
Well, okay, so how does the when you're doing that, like we talk about the sacredness of story, like her telling you that, like this is like she's giving you this sacred gift. Like when somebody's telling you their story, right? I mean, you feel that. What do you feel like?
Oh, I believe that stories are sacred. I mean, I'm not doing anything but listening to her, and I think honoring her by listening to her story. And I mean, she wasn't asking me to chime in on anything, but I think I don't know, that saying, be curious, not judgmental, applies. Because, I mean, if I were to be judgmental,
Yeah,
I mean, she did mention some things that she didn't like about how that went. Nothing bad, but, she was like, I wish I could have done better. And I don't think she could have done or should have done better. I think she did as well as she could have in the situation. And those kids are alive and they're well and they're happy, and
yeah.
I don't know, you do the best you can in whatever situation you're in. But being there to listen it's cool. I mean, I'm not a counselor, so I don't feel a responsibility to give advice or
Well,
anything
and I
like
think
that.
that's the purpose of the whole vet church interviews is not to give advice. It's just to be there and journey with people.
Well, to be heard is a really important thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I think people don't feel heard. Like I heard, who was that? I mean, even if I remember, I won't say the name, but somebody was telling me about, it was at work. A patient came in and Doc asked him, well, why are you here? And they said, well, the last dental place I was at, I didn't feel like they listened to me. I didn't feel heard. And I mean, whatever doctor's office you're in, you want to be heard. You don't want them just to look at you and your paperwork and just be like, okay, well, we're gonna do this. And thank goodness they didn't go along with it. They said no and they moved along.
Welcome to the office of Dr. Matthew. As Fraser Crane would say, I'm listening.
Well, listening is very hard. Active listening is, I think it comes easier for some people than others. But, and I think it's even a learned skill, even if you are good at it and gifted at it. Like my dad is gifted at it, but I don't know if he was always like that. He has been since I've been alive, or since I can remember. But being an active listener means that you're actually listening. You're not just waiting for the person to stop talking.
Or thinking about the next thing you're going to say.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like you're waiting for them to stop talking, and you just can't wait. You're just like, and usually a lot of times, interrupting comes into that. And I remember my mom saying a long time ago, I was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6. And I guess I was interrupting her a lot. And she said, Kate, when you interrupt somebody, that means that you think that what you're saying is more important than what they're saying. And it's true.
Yeah.
And if you watch and listen to people, they interrupt each other a lot. And communication is a huge thing, which we know just by being married. It's a huge thing, and it can be used for good if you use it correctly.
What are some incorrect forms? And now all our listeners want to know, what are the incorrect forms?
Incorrect forms of communication? Not communicating? That's the main one.
Just not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, and just thinking that what you have to say is more important than what they have to say. Because how are you supposed to, like, if we're having an argument, how am I supposed to find out if you truly understood my actions? I mean, if what I'm hearing from you is like, whoa, I didn't mean that. But I have to listen to what you have to say before I can say, okay, wait, you thought that I meant this, but in reality, this is what was going on. This was my intention.
So what happens when, like, and we saw this happen with me. So like I'm you know, this is look over the camera occasionally.
Hello.
On occasion, and especially when we did the first 80 vet church interviews, I'm always going to refer to the first 80 because they're the foundation for what's about to happen. Right? And I think, you know, the ticker at the bottom state, the screen says creativity is part of the God relationship process. And one of the things we're doing is we're starting up this vet church interview again. And you've pushed me on going back and thinking about how, you know, I would interrupt people a lot. I'd get excited. I'd get so excited about what they were saying. I'd get excited about the fact that I was doing something again in my life, that I was traveling around trying to play music. I'd meet somebody and they'd be like, I want to help you out. And then I'd get all excited about that. You know, like just, I mean, I'd play a show with somebody and they're a big name and, you know, I'd get so excited and I'd override what people were saying. And that's still a form of interrupting. It's like, and we see that happen a lot. It's hard to just sit there and be creative enough to just stay with that person while they're talking.
Well, if they're talking and you're not truly actively listening, then how do you know? Like, I mean, if you're trying to be curious about them, right? That means you ask questions. So unless you're listening to them, how do you know what questions to ask them? And I think in conversation, it's okay to have a little bit of silence, like after the person gets done talking, because the person who's listening has to kind of think about that and then figure out what they want to say or what they want to ask. So I think a lot of people, I told one of the young guys that we know, that we've known forever and ever, since before he was born, we were talking about finding somebody to marry. And I said, one of the main things that I found that is important is that you can have quiet times, like for me and you, like we can have quiet times and it's not uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, like in movies or whatever, oh, the uncomfortable silence. Well, if it's uncomfortable and it continues to be uncomfortable, you probably don't match up with that person, or I don't know, you're not in a good space. I don't know if that makes sense. Now you're trying to make it uncomfortable. I don't care. It's not.
It's not. I know it's not.
But I don't know. I mean, you have to be okay with not having to fill the space of the silence. And now you're reading comments or whatever is going on there. You're not actively listening to me. You're distractedly listening to me.
I've heard this all before.
Not with me on this.
That's true. This is a big thing for you. In some ways, I want you to be part of this. Because, and y'all let us know, like, I think that Kate has a lot to say. I think that you've helped me. And I know we're going to start the vet church interviews again. And I'm going to be sitting there with people. We're just going to be talking.
I will occasionally be there, but I have to work. Or I don't have to, but I love to work. I love my job, and I will be working. Let's
talk about that real quick. Let me bring up something. I know we're segueing, but that's how conversation works.
If you know Matt, segueing is a part of life.
Right. So, and conversations work this way. We're like, while you're listening, new things come up. So Kate talks about, like, she doesn't have to work. Like, and financially, we could probably be okay. We couldn't do as much as we're doing.
That would be very tight.
Yeah, it would be, to do what we're doing. It would just, like, we'd have to, like,
I don't know if we could do what we're doing if I didn't.
No, we couldn't.
Not to the capacity that we need and want to do it.
Right, and we want to go further too. And we're not the only ones that are helping put this thing out for y'all to see and going to places and playing music. I mean, all that stuff, the goal of every bit of that, it's hope. You know, the foundation of that hope was, you know, God didn't let me die. He brought us together. We had a relationship that was real, and we had to be real creative in how to get out of being stuck. Which I feel like we're segueing again, but I wanted to go back and ask you that question about your job. You know, you were a dental assistant, nationally certified. What's the board?
Danby.
National, but it's a big deal.
Dental assisting national board.
Yeah, you're the real deal, and you chose that where like a hygienist would make more money.
Oh, they definitely do.
And a doctor, your doctor makes more money, and you could go do that. You have the gray cells to do it, and we had the money at one point to pay for like the extra education, and you said, no, this is what I want to do. Talk about that a little bit. Here you are, an assistant. You love that. You love working at that office. Why?
I don't know. I like to help people, and I'm an introvert, so I do better in helping people one-on-one, not big crowds, which was why in some aspects of it I enjoyed being a teller when you were in seminary, because I was dealing with people one-on-one. Now I worked in a team like I do at work now, but and so like when I'm in a procedure or even new patient exam, I'm helping the new patient, and I'm also helping doc. And then in a procedure, like I set up the room, I help throughout the procedure, and then I clean up the room. I like to do sterilization because, I don't know, I was telling doc the other day, I said I like to make sure that the room is how I would want it when I come into that room. Like I want it neat. I don't want stuff on the floor. I don't want the chair to have spots on it like it hasn't been cleaned. Depending on the assistant, the room is set up differently when the patient gets back. I just do it the way I prefer to do it. I get joy out of my job.
Yeah.
I've told my teammates, I'm like, I know I'm weird, but I mean, if you don't have time to do sterilization, then you can just leave it. Pile it up, baby. I love to do it.
Well, let's talk about I'm looking at like little hearts and stuff shoot up. Darren Vigner, Mary Wells, Monique, Colonel White, Chris Hempel, all kinds of songs, and you know people talking, and I'm always tempted to like look at that, you know, because we have to kind of do both, and it's hard. But I want to dig into this idea of you being fastidiously clean. In our marriage, I mean, you've pushed a little bit of that on me.
I need some help, man.
Well, and that was interesting because when COVID hit, and you know, the world freaked out over whatever it was.
Yeah, we'll leave that right there.
Right there, and we saw your doc a couple of times, and Pam was like, Kate, are you here now? Are you back? And of course, we weren't really back at first because we're gonna roll again, you know. And you were like, no, you know, I'm here, but I'm not here. And then she just kept pushing, and the more things talked about, like infection control. I don't know how many videos I've had to sit through you listening to infection control. It's almost like you love that stuff.
I mean, when you go to the dentist, don't you want that stuff going in your mouth to be clean? Ew.
I don't even want to go to the dentist unless I go see Pam.
So if you don't even like the dentist, which the majority of people do not like the dentist, which makes me sad. So actually, I mean, I'll segue to this. Like one of my main number one goals is if you come into the office and you hate coming to the dentist, or you dread it, or you've never liked it, or you had a bad experience when you were little, then I tell them I want you You don't have to love coming to the dentist, and it's not going to happen right away. But when you come to our office, I want you to feel safe and like we're going to take care of you. You don't have to jump up and down. You don't have to be, just cancel your whole day to enjoy the dentist. Don't have to do that. But I want you to not dread the dentist. I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel like we're using clean things on you. You're not going to get sick from being there. All that stuff. I mean, stuff happens in offices, and I've been in some offices doing like rotations years ago, and gross. I mean, if I knew that as a patient, I would never go back there, and I would tell everybody I knew, this is what they do there or what they don't do. Do not go there.
I'll never forget. Like you talked me into going. The VA was taking care of me. They dropped taking care of me. That's another long, crazy story.
Which we're gonna leave.
We're just gonna leave that right there. Like I'm
sure people have their stories about
God takes care of me. That's the only thing I can explain, because when this organization negated their contract, their contractual obligations, when they decided they weren't going to do it, they had more money and power than me, do whatever. And now I just didn't drop it, but I kept going a little bit more. But God sent this lady, well, your doctor, Pam Watson, in my life, and like I've had all this dental work done. What 50? And at the time they told us, when I was in E4 back in the Army, they told us the specialists.
Well, that one surgery you had, it was back then. It was experimental. They do it all the time now.
That's what he told me. Remember, I had to sign. I'm in the Army, and they made me sign those forms. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And then
because we were freaked out kind of about it.
And all those doctors would come in and they'd look at it. They did this really crazy surgery called
orthognathic surgery.
And they did upper and lower. There's the top and jaw, and I'm not getting into it because it was.
Chisel and hammer were involved.
Oh, it was horrible. and then for like it took a month, even to be able to like move my jaw, just to move it. And in the meantime of that month, they had these spreader things, and Kate was having to do that. And this is before you were a dental assistant.
Mm-hmm. Way before.
So I've had some really weird experiences dental wise, and it was you don't go to the dental and get your teeth. Why do you get your teeth fixed? You're always telling me this. Tell everybody.
Why do you get your teeth like fillings?
No, like straight.
Oh, orthodontics.
Yeah.
It's so that you can have a proper bite, so that you can eat properly, eat your food properly, actually breathe properly, and be able to clean your teeth properly. It's not, I mean, yes, it does make you have a perfect smile, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is so that you can do all three of those things. Probably more than that, but those are the three main things, I think. I mean, if you were to ask Dr. Addison, she would have a lot more to say because she went to dental school. She's been in practice for 20 some years. So, I don't know, we're learning more about airway and all that stuff, and there's quite a few books if y'all are curious, we can always put some down in the comments, but yeah. If you have a competent dentist and they tell you, say you take your child in there and they're looking at their airway and they're saying, well, they're not going to have enough room for their teeth, they're a mouth breather, which sounds horrible, but people are mouth breathers and it does not help you at all. It doesn't help you form the correct mouth that you need and so that you can breathe properly. And it also helps your teeth go to the correct position. Now, it doesn't mean you won't need a little bit of orthodontics because like a tooth came in a little bit crooked or whatever, but
that's important, is what you're saying.
it's important. So if they tell you you need an ortho consult, usually consults with orthodontists are free. And you can go to all the orthodontists in your area. They're all free.
Okay, then.
In Florida, in this area in Florida, I don't mean people may charge something for it in other places, but all of our orthodontists around here that I know of, the consult is free.
Well, and I felt like God brought staying on track of the original with Pam. I thought like God brought Dr. Oz into my life. And coming in and giving me, I hate needles. I mean, like, I know I got tattoos.
It's different.
It is.
It's in your mouth, and it's in your space, and it does hurt.
It's invasive. And it hurts. And I don't like it.
Do you know what really hurts? Which most people don't know this. I think I might have told you before. So, the needle going into your gingiva or gums,
Yeah.
that hurts, but it's like that. So what really hurts is pushing the liquid into that space, because really, if you think about it, you're trying to put liquid into like this tiny, tiny, tiny space. So your tissue is having to open up to let that stuff go in. So that's really what the pain is.
What?
It's not really the needle itself. I mean, yes, you're using the needle to get the liquid in, but it's not really that. If it makes sense.
Well, it does. And the thing that's crazy is like, I got this little amalgam or cavity, I guess you call it, that Doc just looked at.
Amalgam is the silver thing.
Ah, okay. What do you call it? What's the? You've said it so many times.
The fancy name is caries.
That's what it is, caries.
Basically a cavity.
Okay.
I don't know why they call it a cavity, because I guess when Doc will take the cavity out or the decay out, it makes a cavity.
Ah.
Because a cavity is like a cave, right? It's just a space.
Yeah.
So
Well,
the decay is eating your tooth, so it's making a space.
and Emily, and you know, she looks at my stuff, and she's taking care of me now for a couple years, and she gave me this shot one time. And she said, "This might hurt." I'm going to go real slow, so because of what you're talking about.
Going slow with that helps.
And she, I mean, I've had them army doctors go. Wah! Now I had one guy. I told you about Daniel. He went to Afghanistan. He had that root canal. He's incredible. And I'm still friends. I don't know if you're on here, Daniel, or if you're gonna see it, but you were an incredible dentist too. And I mean, you're in Texas. I don't know where you're at exactly. If you're up near Hood or if you're down near Austin or something. But I know you came to a show one time. I really appreciate you doing that. If
I
you're
didn't know that.
Well, yeah.
Oh wait, no, I do remember that. Yeah.
And but Pam works so hard at like not letting you hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like this, like this fear started because it's like you should have found to the dentist. And now it's kind of like, and Alyssa, when she cleans my teeth, she has literally been the best. I've had my teeth cleaned by a lot of people thanks to being part of this relationship.
Well, and a lot of military folks, like you only get your teeth cleaned once a year, but a lot of times it's a miserable cleaning because you're just like.
Well, and with Alyssa, it's just like.
I know, it's like, are you even cleaning my teeth?
I know,
But
and
she
then they were the
is.
cleanest I've ever had them.
Yeah, she's amazing. Well, she is like Marla. I don't know if Marla ever cleaned your teeth, but a lot of our patients used to call her fairy fingers because she's just so gentle.
Yeah, like I can't, like we were just talking recently. I get this cavity thing taken care of, and then I'm gonna get Alyssa because there's just time, and it's like it feels so good. Like I can't. I really, I mean, I can't just go down. It's not like just a freebie because Kate works there, so it's not like and I don't have insurance, so it's got to be cash. So it's like, yeah, and I don't. Most of my cash goes into this kind of stuff because I think it's more important.
Well, your teeth are very important.
Right. Well, they are.
People,
and you
your
got to
teeth are
keep.
important.
And so, but I don't get them clean as much. I'd have my teeth cleaned every 2 or 3 months.
And some people do.
Really.
But some people, some people actually need to have their teeth cleaned because they have stuff like periodontitis and stuff like that. But our office, like Dr. Addison will schedule herself because otherwise, well, all of us have to schedule ourselves because we'll go a year, 2 years because we just, when we're done with patients, we want to go home. We want to stay around and clean each other's teeth or.
We all work some incredible hours, and that's one of the reasons. Like Kate isn't always with me too, because we started talking about why why you chose that job. And I think it's the teens, this aspect of like you're in another family. Like we're a family, but that's a family. Like you come home and tell me about like this, that, and the other, and this person's husband. And that. I guess is it all females?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then those of us who are the spouses, they have spouses day. We hardly ever make it.
Well, it's supposed to be coming up because Dr. Addison was like, "Well, we haven't had one of those in a while." So, but I mean, life happens.
Yeah.
And our main goal is to take care of our patients, which
you guys
putting ourselves on the back burner. But
well, how many times do you guys get like doc will get called in to like do something, and you're the closest assistant, so you're always like on.
And I don't mind that at all.
I know.
And my coworker assistant would totally come in.
But she'd almost drive an hour.
Oh yeah, she would.
But
she totally would.
You guys have done stuff like late at night, afternoons, emergency stuff.
Yeah, it's always emergency stuff.
Wow. And it's so that's why you're not always, and that's why it was to me it was such a big deal that you got to come with me to this festival this weekend.
Well, we finally found a really good dog sitter.
Right, because we have to honor our dogs, and we have to honor God by taking care of the dogs that He's allowed us to be with, and they've journeyed with us and they travel with us. And I'm gonna look real quick, see what we got.
Get to tap it.
I'll tell you what, Kate. Chris is talking. Alan McClendon. Hey, speaking of Alan McClendon, I don't know if y'all are gonna see this later. But Alan McClendon's daughter, Sadie McClendon, she released a song called Eloise. And I've listened to it, a few hundred times now?
At least, probably. I've heard it a couple. It's great.
It's brilliant. I'll never forget. Like, I told the story this week, I was on stage, and I was with this other person, and I was like, man, you gotta play a happy song after this one. He's like, why? I was like, you'll understand it.
And he did.
And then I told the story, like, I got up there, and I was like, I'm gonna play this song, and before I do it, I was on stage with it. At the time, Sadie was like 13.
I think so, yeah.
We're going to play somewhere. She said, what song are you going to play? And I told her, and she said, well, if you're going to play that, I'm going to play Sunshine on My Mind, which she had written. It's crazy. And I said, why? And she said, because you can't leave people with a song like that. It's too heavy. She's 13 years old figuring that out. I mean, it's like, and now she's been on stage with Jamie Johnson and all kinds of people. And it's not because her parents are these rich people that are pushing her and there's no big money market behind her. It's because she really does. She's like 16, 17 now. And she has that kind of like intuition and belief that people are valuable and they have purpose. That song Eloise, it's like this love song that takes me. It's almost like it should be in the Lord of the Rings.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean you don't know about it?
I don't know if it should be in the Lord of the Rings, but it's
I mean
like
that era.
It's like a throwback to older country songs.
Yeah,
it's got the feel to it. Like, I don't know. It's not pop.
No.
At all. It's not pop country, which is, I mean. Actually, I was gonna say I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't care if I offend them. I don't like really country pop stuff.
Well, I like pop music.
I grew up on
country pop.
Dwight Yoakam and George Strait and John Michael Montgomery, and I don't know. Nowadays, it just seems like blah lyrics, like no creativity in lyrics. And used to be, MTV and country music, CMT television. You could watch videos, and it would tell the story because they were actually telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, I mean, most of them, there are some kind of more famous, popular country singers that do a better job, like Chris Stapleton, Jay Johnson, and I'm sure there are others that I'm not thinking of right now, but it's a throwback to the older ones.
It's an incredible song. Eloise. I'll put a link in the comments when we're done.
You put a link in.
Oh,
on
that
your
other post on my page, yeah. So if you look at the post on the page, there's one there.
What did Alan say?
I don't know, I just said he's watching. Yeah. And I think that's important. Like, I think, here we are doing our Sunday worship thing. We're talking about songwriting. We're talking about work and family and dedication of values to a lifestyle. And when you do that, that ticker at the bottom, creativity is part of the God relationship process. If God's the great creator, then maybe our first responsibility is to create.
I don't feel like I'm very creative if I compare myself to you.
Well, I think it's different though, isn't it?
I don't know.
What about all the meals you created?
I don't really create meals. I follow recipes. You create meals.
Everything Kate makes is better taste than what I make.
No, not necessarily.
I'd rather eat what you do every day. Well, and like the other thing is, like what you do at work, man. I'm sitting there, I've come in when you're working and like dropped off lunch or something and peeked around the corner and saw you working. It's been like there's a lot of creativity. You got like 400 this head and that bird and this all these things names.
I mean, if somebody's creative in the office, it's Dr. Addison.
Well,
Because I mean, if you really think about it, like when you're doing a filling, or I mean anything, if you're restoring a tooth, then you have to look at how the tooth is, all the grooves and pits and the design of the tooth, and then you have to look at how they go together. So if you're working on this tooth, you have to see how this one hits this one. I mean, you don't have to. You could just make it a box, and then it's gonna take 30 minutes to make the adjustments to make everything come together. So if you pay attention to how it already is and how their bite already is, then you can save yourself a lot of time and only make 3 minutes of adjustments compared to 30 minutes. And then, I mean, and dentistry time is money.
Well, we talk about adjustments, the relationship process. In any relationship, even in our relationship, there's tons of creativity.
Yeah.
We constantly have to adjust to each other. And that happens, like a lot of people are worried, like the biggest thing in their life is the relationship that they're in or not in. It takes a lot of creativity to be in a relationship and have it last.
See, that's why I have you, because I don't think of myself as creative, but I guess in a way I am.
Hey, so one of the things we created, we're going to get going here because it's Sunday, and one of the things we created was this thing called the Move-a-thon. Move 2022. We did that because people need to move. The Great Commission says, "Go ye therefore." Go. Preach the gospel, care for people, love one another. These are all actions that require movement. And we want you to join us. And we're probably going to start, I'm going to be like sending out stuff. I will have very shortly, like tomorrow, up on the website, a link at vetchurch.com where you can go to and log in and get, go ahead and log in and sign up to be part of this. If you walk a mile, that's a mile. If you run a mile, that's a mile. If you ride your bike, that's a mile. If you work out 15 minutes, that's a mile. Go outside and work in your yard, weed your neighbor's garden. That's 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, just log a mile. And we're going to try to reach 2,022 miles. They say that right now the suicide rate's up to what
20, Dave said 24 a day.
24
Just
a day.
veterans. And that's not counting civilians and all the other people that are not veterans.
Right. And so, like, we got to do something about this. And if we move, my thought is maybe we'll start moving together. Like, that's why you log in and log your shirt. Wear your shirt and log your miles.
Log your shirt.
Log that thing. And I'm laying back in the thing. It makes it look like I'm fatter than I am.
You need to move more.
Right. I think they're pretty cool shirts, man. It's $28. That church ain't getting a penny out of it. We're not making money. This is not a fundraiser. I don't want your thoughts to go to money. I want your thoughts to go to, like, you're important, you're valuable. Join us in this movement thing.
Well, and if you think about it, I think as the years have gone by and society and life has changed as far as like technology. You used to have to get up and walk around and talk to your neighbors to figure out what was going on. Now you can just look at Facebook or the City of Valparaiso page or go turn on your TV. You don't have to move. You don't have to get up. And really, I mean, if you think about, if you come in here and you play your video game for 2 hours, how does your body feel when you get up?
Well,
it doesn't feel...
I thought I got to ask a question.
It doesn't feel, I mean, for me, it wouldn't feel good. Like, I'm going to have stiff joints and maybe sore muscle and plus you're just being sedentary. Not that I don't sit on the couch and watch TV. I mean, that's not bad. But, I mean, if you're just doing it all the time and that's all you do.
Hang on a second. It's bad for me to play a video game. It's not bad for you to
Well,
sit on the
no,
couch.
I mean,
Come
what
on,
I'm
break
saying
it
is
down a little bit more.
Sitting still, they say sitting still is now the new smoking or whatever. It's not good for you.
Right.
And I mean, not every kid, but a lot of kids are more sedentary than I was when I was a kid. I was out riding my bike out. I mean, my mom would push us out the back door and lock it. She'd have, you know, we could either drink out of the hose or she'd have like a pitcher. She'd be like, hey, y'all are going to play outside.
Just watch out for coyotes.
You're going to get sunshine and you're going to get dirty. And my little brother, she would call it a dirt necklace because when he'd get in the bathtub, he'd have this like, you know, in his little wrinkles in his neck, he'd have dirt. So, I don't know. There's something about, I don't know how I feel about the whole thing about grounding, but there's something about being in nature and touching it, breathing it, seeing it, experiencing it.
Creativity. God created nature. Why aren't we out
Get
there?
out there and enjoy it.
I know there's a fly rod sitting right in the corner begging me to get this piece off my foot.
And sometimes there's circumstances where you are kind of stuck and you have to let your body heal. And
yeah, like right now.
But anyway, it's about moving and it's about remembering that, I mean, there are people killing themselves, not just veterans.
Right. I mean, we're a veteran-centric organization. We kind of seek out the people to do the podcasts that are either, you know, like they're doing something, they're involved in something that has a veteran. And it's, you know, like where we live, it's hard. I mean, people who run the restaurants are part of the veteran community because they're feeding us. I mean, it's like, it's really weird.
Well, just like you don't have to be a veteran to be part of that church.
Right.
I mean, we're not going to necessarily tell you no if you want to do a vet church interview.
I think I've only met a couple of people in my life who didn't know somebody or was related to somebody who was in the military.
That may change here in the next few generations, but yeah.
Hey, so we do this thing where we invite people to take communion. And ever since I had this class with Dr. King, remember him?
At Bellhaven?
Nah, seminary.
Oh, yeah.
CIU, I think.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so He one day he did this deal. He put in the corner. He put juice and bread or whatever it was, and invited everybody to just go partake and have communion. We prayed, or he just talked about the bread and the wine. Everyone got it, ate, and then we prayed the Lord's Prayer or something like that. And it was the first time I'd ever seen anybody like not do communion in church. Just, what are you doing? He talked about how it was like this supper. Every time you eat, it should be reminding you of what Christ does. Every time you drink. And we should do this together. And therefore, back to the go part. You got to go where people are at. You got to go get together and do it. So, we got juice here.
Yeah.
Let's just do communion. And
do that first.
Oh, yeah, I always forget. So Christ's like, oh, what is this? Okay, so we got a chessman cookie. Like we're gonna do some chessman cookies here. This is a bishop. I don't know if y'all ever played chess, but the bishops do this across the board, horizontal attack. And in the history of the church, there's these guys called bishops, and a lot of people get to think of, well, the leaders are the people that are leading. They're in charge. They're the people you follow. But that's not really the truth. The leaders are the people that protect and that care for, that you bring your problems to, that you listen to. That's leadership. You know, I don't know how many times I've talked to people and they'd say things like, well, I'm just a mom. Or I just worked over here. I'm like, hang on a second. Like, so when you're working over there, people aren't just bringing you your problems all day long. As a mom, you don't feel like you're just solving problems all day long. As a dad, you don't feel like you're just solving problems all day long. Well, you're a leader then. And in the church, the idea of the being a pastor and all that is not so that this person up in the front is better than you. It's that this person up in the front is your servant. And so hopefully I'm serving you well and saying, hey, take the bread, break it, and think about Christ's body broken for you, and eat. It says in the same manner, he took the cup, pours in the wine. He says, this is my blood poured out for the remission of your sins. Now that's great news, because it's like the end of karma. It's like, this covers your sin. And I think about sin. I thought about this morning. A lot of times we want to think about sin as like murder incorporated. But it's more like sin. The scriptural thing is like, sin is not doing what you know to do that's right. So if you know that you're supposed to do something and you don't do it, wow, that can be a sin to you. And it's like, what keeps God from man? That relationship, why did Christ die? It's in the scripture says it's because God is holy and we're not. So sin is this tainting. It's this kind of unholiness that creeps in. And so the blood of Jesus Christ is the holiness upon which we all must depend. Because through his holiness, we don't have to worry about being good enough, having it together. Because Christ is holy, I don't have to be. And I can't be anyway. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but no matter how hard I try, I can't get there. I'll never forget reading the Autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Y'all can go find that somewhere. It's a pretty interesting read. At one point in it, he says, I decided to tackle the 7 deadly sins. You know, I'm trying to remember how he put it. Anyway, he got them all done. Gets to pride. It's the last one on his list. He does it. Gets to thinking about it a couple weeks later. He's fine. And then he discovers he's so proud of himself for doing it. So he has to go back and work on pride. I couldn't get it. I think we all have stuff like that in our lives. So, the blood of Jesus Christ poured out for our sins.
I'll drink to that.
Yes. So if you'll join us in the Lord's Prayer, it'd be awesome. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. So here we are. Our battery's getting low.
Which probably means
Shannon Book is on. Amen, brother.
to round it up.
Hey, I need to talk to you, Shannon Book. I got a musician out there. I just got sent this really cool video. Talked to this guy's mom yesterday. And, I just thought of you. And he's somewhere near you there in Texas. But I need a phone call with you this week. What did you just say?
You need to wrap it up.
You guys speaking.
We need to wrap it up.
There we go. I can only do that. We do need to wrap it up. The folks got stuff going on. Do a vet church interview. There we can just sit and explore the stories. And we won't be live. None of the interviews are gonna be live anymore. We might take a picture, and we're like, a lady approached me this week and was like, "Man, I got a story I want to tell you, but I can't do it because it involves somebody in my family. Unless you would let me do it anonymously." I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." Stories of hope. Let's take back our nation. And I don't mean take it back politically. I think that's the farthest thing we're talking about. Let's take back the content that we're putting out there and believing in. It's like, I don't know how many of y'all are out there, but I could mention The Office, Seinfeld, Friends, help me, Frasier. And y'all all know what I'm talking about. We're talking about augmented, made up, fake lives. The Jeffersons, Cosby Show, all that stuff. It's all fake. And your life isn't fake. And these vet church interviews are not fake. This us telling the stories and kind of logging it, keeping it, preserving it for our families and for future generations. And to show that, we never needed to make America great because the people in America have always been great. We don't need to worry about corruption. Corruption always loses.
And it's always there.
And it's always there. It's always been there. And the holiness of our stories and the sacredness of our lives conquers all fear because Christ gives us hope. Hope. That's what we're all about here. Okay, I love y'all. Thanks for joining in, tuning in. Hit that link. Do the move-a-thon.
Move with us. Happy Sunday.